GNC 606. It's Tuesday, August 31st, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a part of the Tech Podcast Network. Everyone got a great show lined up for you. It's great to be back in Honolulu, but I've got a very early morning wake-up call to head out to San Jose. But we got a great show for you. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Oahu. Hey, how's everyone doing? Welcome to the show. Again, my name is Todd Cochran. I want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out all the great content over there. Of course, check out my archive podcast available via the podcast link at the very top of the website. And more importantly, when you're over there, you'll definitely want to get signed up and sign up for the newsletter, subscribe to the podcast. You can do that real easy. And let me actually bring up the screen that has that data in there. Let's see if I can get it switched in there. You'll see at the very top of the page a little orange box. You'll see the podcast link in there for the RSS feed. You can subscribe via iTunes or even Zune if you have a Zune media player. Of course, you can always just use your favorite podcatcher as well. That can be done with the standard RSS feed. But go ahead and get signed up for the show. And that way you'll never miss a single episode of it. And that's the most important thing. That way when you're out and about, you'll be able to listen to the show as you please. Of course, I want to give a warm welcome to the Ohana, all of you that are longtime listeners of the show, and thanks for being part of the family. And of course, if you're new, welcome to the family, welcome to the Ohana. Being that I do this show here in Hawaii, for those of you that are new and not fully indoctrinated into the show yet, Ohana really means, just means family. So I consider each and every one of you a close member of my tight-knit community and just, I guess for a better word, hope you enjoy some time with me here today as we talk story, talk about tech. Of course, we got listeners from 170 countries worldwide. And, hey, I'm starting to get emails from those of you that are outside the United States starting to send me feedback on how you're listening to the show. We'll be going over some of that at the end of the show tonight in the email comments. If you've got comments on today's show, you can do that simply by, providing feedback via geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. Or you can call our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week voicemail hotline. It's at area code 619-342-7365. And we'll cover all the emails and the voicemails. They're actually the hotline calls that have come in over the past 3 or 4 days. Of course, we're streaming live on Justin.tv and on Ustream. So if you're joining us live on the streams, thanks for joining us. And we hope you enjoy the show. I know it's late for many of you, depending on where you're at in the world watching the show now. Of course, those of you that are on the Roku, yes, 2 shows missing from your Roku lineup. And largely it was because the bandwidth situation when I was on travel last week was such that it made it nearly impossible to get the video portions of the show up and online. And we're also going to be making some changes to the video portion of the show when I travel. May even be going green screen here soon. So we'll let you know about that. So the travel portion of the show is going to change a little bit from a video perspective. But for those of you on the Roku or Boxy, hey, I'm glad to be back with you, and we will be here for the foreseeable future. My travel plans are not too extensive for at least a little while, but make sure that again that you share this information with your friends and family about this show, no matter how you're consuming it, and spread the wealth on helping us build the listener audience base here. Every person you share the show to is just another person that gets some great tech content. Well, of course, we are at the last show of the month, and what I do on the last show of the month, of course, is I give a warm thank you to all of the sponsors of the show. The sponsors are really what keep the lights on and allow me to feed my family and pay my mortgage bill. Mortgage. And here in Hawaii, that's not a small thing, believe me. So I want to thank all the sponsors, of course. I want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. And of course, if you are looking for a domain name, dedicated server, virtual dedicated server, shared hosting account, really GoDaddy's the place to go. And we've got some great codes for you to use, and you can find the codes available at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. Todd 20 will save you 20% on a 1-year shared hosting account. Geek 5 will save you 15% on orders $20 or more. But there's a whole assortment of codes, and if you're a new GoDaddy customer, Geek 199 will get you $99.com domain names. So thanks for GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at the show, and we hope that that'll continue for forever. We hope. Hey, let's of course as well. GoToMeeting, has been with us really now for well over 5 years. And, some things I don't talk too deep. You guys know what GoToMeeting does. But there's really some essential features that I don't go over a lot about the application that is really important. It's got the ability to do one-click recording of your meeting sessions. It's both Mac and PC compatible. You can schedule meetings in advance where it actually you schedule it and it sends an email to all the participants. You can start meetings right from within PowerPoint or Microsoft Office. And it's, basically it's so versatile. You can do desktop and application sharing. There's all kinds of things you can do. And of course, it's secure and reliable. You never have to worry about someone coming into a meeting that isn't supposed to be there. And Citric is an industry leader, and their product simply works. And just check it out. GoToMeeting.com/Tech Podcast. Get that free 30-day demo. And hey, you know what? It's a great way to experience the application without having to pay for it, and you get a free 30-day trial. Now, new this month, we had introduced Infusionsoft. They are a new sponsor of the show here. And we've had a number of you go over and check out the Infusionsoft services. And this is a great product or service for those of you that are a small business owner. Infusionsoft, we've talked about them just a couple of times during this month. But really, all you got to do is click on the banner on the website, go over and fill out the information that they request, watch the video there, and you're helping out the show a great deal. What it does is it allows you to no longer be a slave to your business. They have some great resources and tools that you can use. I'm starting to employ some of the Infusionsoft applications here, and you're going to see some of that forthcoming in the next month or so on what really is going to help this business and my business here at Geek News Central grow. So Infusionsoft can help you too, so check them out. And Infusionsoft.com/pod1. Now, I know we just did 3 ads, but again, it's the end of the month, and I want to, of course, thank all of our sponsors here and get that out of the way for supporting the show this month. Well, we got big news. Big news on the Consumer Electronics Show front. We are really 4 months and a week away. And you guys are probably going to be, oh my God, he's already talking about CES. But Andy McCaskey from Slashdot Review, SDR News, matter of fact, we're going to talk about Andy's show a little bit later in the show. Andy and I discussed talking with the Consumer Electronics Association about having a booth to be able to do live broadcasts from the Consumer Electronics Show. And we put together a proposal, sent that over to them, and we were one of the very few, the Tech Podcast Network was one of the very few media outfits that were basically authorized a broadcast booth at CES. So what this is really going to mean is it's going to be huge, because we're going to have a 10 by 20 booth. We're going to be using my new TriCaster, my TCXC 850 TriCaster. We're going to be using that there. We're going to have my studio TriCaster, which was bought by a Tech Podcast member, is going to be there as well. So we're going to probably push to several streams. We're going to have live interviews from the time the show opens to the time the show closes. Lots of different interactive stuff, discussions. It is really going to add a whole new element because we're still going to have the folks on the floor. They're still going to be, and I'm sure we're going to work up something where we'll figure out a schedule on how this is going to work, on what personalities are going to be in the booth and so forth. But what's going to be exciting is that we've got enough people coming to Vegas this year that we're going to be able to have content creators and the cameramen with them, probably 2 teams on the floor, going around doing our standard interviews like we do every year. And then what they'll be able to do is while we're still doing stuff live in the booth, they're going to be able to bring content back and offload video content. And with the power of the TriCaster, we should be able to stream some of those interviews immediately, or sometimes when we need to fill buffer space or so forth. I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to be able to put together probably 10 to 12 hours of content every day of the show. And we're going to be, it's going to be a multifaceted distribution point too. So we're going to have the live stream. If you don't catch it live, don't worry. We're going to be recording everything. So we'll segment it out and we'll be putting it up via our normal distribution means on our own websites, putting that up so that people can come to the website and read about the content as we normally do. But we're also going to be setting up a special channel on the Roku, on the Boxy, probably Voodoo, more than likely Samsung devices. There's going to be a whole plethora of channels on set-top boxes and external devices. And we hope even by then by Google TV, and maybe we'll know in the next couple of days what's going to happen with Apple TV. So you're really going to be able to get this content multiple ways. So it's really going to be, bam. It's going to be awesome. This is not anything that's going to be inexpensive, that's for sure. So we've got, we're working on sponsorship packages now and sending those out to a variety of vendors, looking to be, the bandwidth alone is $6,000 just to get the bandwidth for the booth. And that's only 3 megs up and down. So that's, that's a published price at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So that's crazy in itself. Insurance, electricity, furniture, all the other stuff that goes along with it. So we're going to be putting this together, working real hard over the next few months, really to kind of get this all solidified and have the team member responsibility set. And it should be, we should blow the doors off. You guys know that we were given an opportunity last year by NBC Universal to come on their stage, and you guys came out in force. We had like 5,000 to 10,000 people. Well, it was nearly 10,000 people for those 2 live events that watched those 2 live streams, and they were just 2 one-hour events. Now, we know it's going to be a challenge to hold those type of numbers over an 8 to 10 hour period, but you guys know already, oh man, these guys are going to be live. We're going to be able to, I hope we're really going to be able to blow the socks off. My goal would be to hold about a 15 to 20K stream. In other words, that many people up on the stream during the live hours. And we're going to do a lot more than some of the other venues there because we're just going to be going the whole time, and it should be good. So that's going to take a lot of work, but I'm really excited about this, and we got a lot of work to do to get it ready to go. But just one more step. It's one more step and one more evolution in the process. But the back channel stuff will still be going on. The show floor interviews will still be going on. In booth interviews live. I mean, it's smoking. It really is going to be great. So anyway, that's going to what's happened for CES 2011. We'll talk more about that as we get close to it, and share tidbits here and there with you as I can. Moving on from there, I want to congratulate Chris Whipple. He is our winner for filling out. We had a bunch of people fill out the survey last week and a half, and I promised to give away a gift. So what I want to do, Chris, is you go over to the Ohana store at cafepress.com/Ohana store. Pick out a couple items, $50 the limit, or in around $50. Pick out some items and send me what you want. Send me the links to them and the sizes, and we'll get them ordered. Give me your mailing address, and I'll get those shipped out to you post haste. So pick something out at the Ohana store, and we'll give that to you as our prize. Now, one thing I'm going to do, there's a big announcement today by Roku. They've lowered their prices. I mean, they have just 25 to 30% down. We'll talk about those prices in a few minutes, but it's all in anticipation of Apple TV coming, and or Apple iTV and Google TV and everything, talking about the price point being around $99. So one thing that the Roku has right now that the Apple TV doesn't is the Tech Podcast Network, our ProMed Network. It's got the Blueberry community. It's got Netflix. It's got Amazon videos on demand. You name it. It's got Major League Baseball. That's already on the Roku. So really, as a way of saying thank you to the folks at Roku for lowering the price, what we're going to do is a week from today, I'm going to give away a Roku. And all you got to do to enter, and this is something I'm going to work on with the show, is a change I'm making here, is I want you to send me your top 5 non-mainstream news sources. What do you as you go out and do your daily searching? I don't want the TechCrunch. I don't want Gizmodo or Engadget. I don't want Gizmodo. Give me the link to 5 of your non-traditional news sources that you use on a daily basis to find stuff. Even if it's weird. If it doesn't have to be tech, it can be science. It can be purely informational. It could be something that you read, someone's blog that you like. And if you send me 5 links to some websites that you are basically subscribed to or read on a daily basis, I'll put you in the entry to be for a Roku. And all you got to do is send me a email, geeknews@gmail.com. Put in the subject line, Roku giveaway. Put the 5 links in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add all those to my weekly, when I review for show content, I'm going to pull those in and use those in my review source. So I'm trying to build out my kind of non-traditional sources, because one of the survey comments response was, Todd, the news you put out on the show, I can get anywhere. So I thought, okay, so what I got to do is work to find additional content that you guys just may not find anywhere. We're still going to cover the basic stuff, the important stuff during the day, but I'm going to be adding more content sources. And, I've actually grown over the last 10 days. I went from 400 news sources up to 800 to kind of add the breadth to find more content and to kind of offset some of the perception that everything that I talk about in the show is stuff that you've already seen. And, it depends on how long has it been since you've listened to the show, too. If you're listening the next day, much of this, I know some of the stuff I found tonight has only been out an hour or two since it actually hit the street. But and plus, I've shared with you guys a lot of these sources, so you guys are knowing where to go to get this content. So now it's time to dig down and find more data. So anyway, that'll be the giveaway that I'm going to do. Again, show additions for the 5 shows we're going to add to the network. We've got a whole bunch of inputs from folks, so we're going to start contacting them soon. Tomorrow morning, I have to leave the house at 4:30 a.m., getting on a flight to go to San Francisco. I'm going to the Set Top Box Conference in San Jose. I'll be back here late Thursday night, so there will be no Thursday show, but we'll do the show on Friday. And I'll probably around the same time, Friday night, I'll do the show. So if you guys want to watch Friday evening, if you're bored and you're up late, just come watch the show live Friday at 11 p.m. Pacific. Okay, so I think that's enough on all that. I've talked way too much on this other stuff before we get into the content here. Again, geeknewscentral.com/offers. Of course, we want to thank the insiders, to everyone that's contributed to the show and that has a monthly subscription or have donated to the show. Thanks for being an insider. And I appreciate it. I really do. And so a strong and warm thanks to you guys as to the regular sponsors as well. And of course, a big thanks to the rest of the audience. Okay, let me go ahead here and open up Chrome. And let me bring this up and make sure that this is not going to start. Okay, close that window. There's a article out today. It's basically a global warming type article, but it's not necessarily global warming, but it's every year there is a climate report put out by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They asked the organization, specifically the Inter Academy Council, which was a coalition of national science organization, to examine basically its information that it's putting out every year. And this group just tore them apart. Apparently, a lot of the information that and I'm going to abbreviate here, the IPCC, the information that the IPCC was putting out contained inaccurate information. And, information about the runoff rate of Himalayan glaciers, and a whole variety of other things that they found that was just completely inaccurate. And I think we'll all agree that if someone's going to come out with a climate report every year, and this is going to be something that's going to be put on file, you want that climate report to be as accurate as possible, whether the news is, detrimental to our long-term survival or not. And because people are going to go back and look at that information 50 years from now, and they're going to say, well, here's a report of what they were reporting then. So you want that information to be as accurate as possible. So they've made us a few suggestions. We'll see what happens. I think when you get any body of people working on as big a report as this, it's nearly impossible for anything to be completely accurate. But time will tell. We'll see what happens. I thought it was kind of interesting that they actually wanted someone to police their report, and then, yes, they did. Hey, as we talked about just a few minutes ago, and I've got this up here as the price points. The Roku SD is now priced at $20, at $20 less, at $59.99. The Roku HD and the Roku XR are priced at $30 less, at $69 and $99 respectively. They're saying on the Roku XR that they are probably going to be pushing that to 1080p sometime before the end of the year. So if I was to go out and buy any more of these, now the thing is, the difference between the HD and the XR is really just the Wi-Fi format. So it's really, the difference of price of $30 really isn't worth it. But the simple fact that they're going to be going to 1080p on the XR edition is pretty exciting. So if you buy one, buy the XR, because that's what's going to get updated. So anyway, we're glad to see Roku make this price change. Hey, there's been a lot of stuff today on the web talking about HTML5 and some of the cool stuff that's going to be done with it. But at the same time, there's some discussions going on about how browsers are changing. And Chrome 7 is showing off hardware acceleration. And what they're really doing at this point is that the Chrome web browser is going to be gaining hardware accelerated graphics. In other words, it's going to actually be using the graphics card to help render stuff that's actually in the web page. Up to this point, maybe Chrome 7 and before, IE 6, 7, so forth, I've always used the CPU in the computer to actually, and I have to just mention this offhand, the Night Jasmine. I have the side window open to the studio, and I have a nice breeze coming in. And I'm getting hit. I've talked about this in the previous shows. I've been getting hit in the face with this beautiful smell of night jasmine. It just takes your breath away. It makes you go, and I go, ah. I know that's a weird dialogue, but it really smells good. If you've ever smelled night jasmine, you'll know what I'm talking about. But anyway, this hardware acceleration, which will be using the graphics card, is going to take advantage of, really what's going on in all of our PCs these days. They're becoming more and more powerful. And so this just is an obvious evolution in browser technology. It's pretty cool to see where it's going. Now, and I know many of you are Hotmail fanatics. I haven't used Hotmail in years. Matter of fact, I think my Hotmail account is no longer even in existence. I haven't logged into it in who knows how long. But Windows has changed, or there have been some updates to Hotmail today that may get some of you excited. It's now has Exchange. If you're connected to an Exchange server, it now supports Exchange Active Sync, which is EAS, which lets users get push notifications on phones and other mobile devices as part of the Wave 4 release of Windows Live Hotmail. And this has been reportedly working for a couple of months, but they officially announced it today. So there's over 300 million mobile devices that currently support EAS, and they have a full list of them available at the Windows Live Solution Center. I have this linked out. Of course, Microsoft is still not budging on IMAP, but you can use POP3 now on Hotmail. I have been able to do that for a while, but that's a major thing coming out of Hotmail today. There's a report that rare metals, in other words, we all know the periodic table is full of exotic metals and different types of, basically it's the more rare the metal is, the harder it is to find and to, they have to dig out more earth to, to basically come up with the right amount of rare materials. That didn't sound right anyway. But right now, let me back up here. Every year, approximately 134,000 tons of what is termed rare earth metals is being used in the manufacturing process. But only 124,000 tons is being mined. So they're actually tapping reserves that they've had in the past, and that's how they're making up the difference at this point. So they feel that as the demand continues to climb for, plasma screens, laptops, all these other exotic devices and these exotic metals that they're using in the components that we're buying today, or the electronics and different things we're buying, is that the price is going to start to, climb. And at some point, some of these metals may become really more valuable per ounce than gold, just because of their demand and availability. So this has gotten the attention of Congress, and Congress is now investigating because absolutely none of this rare metal mining, this rare metal production is within the United States. We're digging up ore, and we're sending it over to China and different places like that to be processed. China is not exporting any raw ore at this point either, whether it be, and again, we're not talking about iron, because I know that a lot of iron is still being exported, but the U.S. right now has about 13% of global reserves, but some of it is mixed with radioactive material, which causes an issue, which can't go into consumer electronic devices and so forth. But devices like magnets that need specific materials, there's a huge demand for those types of rare metals, and there's a worldwide shortage. So I'd be curious to see how that affects the prices of consumer goods and things that we buy and different types of products. But, I don't think we all really think about that too much. We think about oil being in demand, but we don't really think about some of those mineral components that are used in small quantities but are very important being an issue, but they are. All right, the BBC has an article, and I kind of smiled here because some scientists from Embry Aeronautical University, and that's the university that I attend, has designed what is being touted as, let me flip this in here, it's being touted as marine turbines, which they're going to have designed, they're going to try testing next year. And what they want to do is to lower turbines roughly 21,000, or actually roughly 12,000 meters below the surface into the Gulf Stream to basically generate energy. And they want to make these devices smart, be able to move on them by themselves. And I don't know fully how they're going to do that because they have to be anchored somehow and align themselves the best way with the current. They feel that they're going to be able to deploy enough of these that the turbines themselves would be smart and be able to communicate with one another, and then the turbines themselves could adjust positions to be in a better, to be the strongest part of the Gulf Stream. But they feel that this is one of the most valuable electrical sources or potential electrical sources out there. So they're working real hard on designing these new turbines, these marine turbines. And they say the underwater stream roughly contains around 21,000 times more energy than Niagara Falls. And any of you been to Niagara Falls will know how massively powerful it is. But to consider that the Gulf Stream is 21,000 times more powerful is huge. And they say this could potentially provide 1/3 of Florida's electrical needs by and I think they're only going to deploy like 120 of these. So that's pretty significant. So we'll see how this progresses. But these engineers at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, cool that they're doing aeronautical in the air, but now they're working marine stuff. Pretty cool, transferring that science. Next article is about Sony obtaining a ban by an Australian court to stop the PS3 hack chip. We talked about this in an earlier show where this was now becoming available, but Sony has won an injunction to prevent the distributor from selling the hardware hacked for the PlayStation 3. The PS3 jailbreak dongle allows gamers to play homemade games and pirated games on the game console. So they got this stopped, and Sony has until just another day here until tomorrow to make its case in the court for a permanent ban. So we'll see what happens with this. But the genie's out of the bottle on this one. But time will tell how this develops. But for now, they've got an injunction to stop them from doing that. Hey, NASA has moved a huge number of historic images into Flickr, and I thought this was pretty cool because I went and basically this is an article over on CNET, but I went over on Flickr and looked at at some of the images. Obviously, this is some sort of I don't know if it's a shuttle launch or just a ballistic missile launch, but they've got all kinds of different pictures from the past, and some of these you will recognize, some that you won't. And I always love to see these older pictures back when these guys are all wearing suit and tie, and they were, it was all very, very formal. But lots of very cool pictures, and I'm sure I have to go look and see if they're in the public domain. I'm sure they are because it's done by the government. So probably some cool pictures you'll be able to use on your website from time to time. But anyway, those are available over on Flickr. There's an experimental search and rescue aircraft that's being tested. It's a UAV that's being tested in Cyprus right now that is pretty cool in that the wing structure, and you guys remember how the F-14, how the wings will fold back as the aircraft flies faster. Same type of design with this new UAV. It alters its wing shape depending on the conditions, the wind conditions, storm conditions, how fast the aircraft's flying, and so forth. But it changes shapes to counteract gusts of wind. The resulting aircraft is proved to fly steadily even in inclement weather. And we all know that when someone is lost at sea, oftentimes aircraft are grounded, or even helicopters are grounded because the weather's too bad to go out. But with a UAV, you don't have to risk a manned and multi-million-dollar aircraft. You could basically send these UAVs out to do the same job. I've been on many search and rescues before from my experience in the Navy, and I will tell you that you have to get pretty low. And down low gets pretty bumpy, and the weather gets bad, the aircraft get bounced around. But, you imagine in bad weather with a sea state, with the waves foaming and blowing a mist, if the guy's not wearing something fluorescent, if he's down there wearing white or blue, essentially, it's not a good situation. You go in the ocean, don't wear white, don't wear blue. Make sure you have the boat you're on has, sea dye marker and that type of stuff. But you have to be low, and this UAV is designed to fly down low. So this is pretty cool. And the aircraft at this point can only fly up to 4.5 hours, but it sends a data link of video back. And, when you're on a search and rescue mission, you usually have lots of eyeballs on the ocean because the aircraft's moving at a certain speed. You got to cover as much as you can as physically possible. But we'll see how this works out. But another potential use for remote air vehicles or UAVs. You guys know that the Associated Press has always had a lot of fun bashing on Google. They were losing so much traffic, and Google is stealing stuff away from us and content. Well, Google's had a license for a number of years now to basically republish AP content. But today, Google and the AP who have often been seen at odds, have reached a new deal. They're not reporting how much money has changed hands, but we know that usually a partner, a television station, will pay maybe up to $200,000 a year for access to the AP feed. So it's expected that the amount that Google has paid is probably a multi-million-dollar deal for the Associated Press. Of course, they're not talking. Maybe it'll come out in some sort of documents that Google has to file as being a public company. I don't know. But at this point, they're saying that Google and AP can work together to create a better user experience and add new revenue opportunities for both. So I guess they've settled their differences, and maybe AP won't be yakking as much as they have been about how Google is hurting their business. All right, which dictionary do you have sitting on your shelf? And if I look over there, I got a Rand. I can only see half of it because there's a book in front of it. Maybe it's a Collins. Yeah, it looks like it's a Collins dictionary. Did you guys know that up to this point, there's only been a couple of the companies that have had their dictionaries online. But the new edition of the Oxford English Dictionary will be online only. And they basically had to respond to Collins, Chambers, etc., who also have free web versions. Now, the question is, which one is your favorite? Do you even use a dictionary anymore? Do you just go, what is, or spell something in Google and it gives you the right spelling? I know I have a tendency to do that a lot. But it's still, it's always, I always tell my kids, go get a dictionary. So at what point will the time of being able to actually hold a dictionary in your hand go away? I think we're very close to that point. And it's really should be a concern to all of us that as dictionaries go online and they are not printed anymore, those folks that don't have internet access and maybe are, restricted to be only getting content or getting materials from the library, it should be, of course, most libraries have internet access now, so that kind of will be a moot point. But don't you think it's kind of sad? At least I do, that you're not going to be able to buy a dictionary. I know the one I've got on my shelf is probably 20 years old. But at this point, it looks like most of them are going to be going online only. I've gotten a lot of stuff from Samsung in the last week. Matter of fact, I got an email with this real cool graphic, and I was trying to figure out if I could actually put it up on my blog, and because it just really shows what Samsung is really going after. The Galaxy S phone has been a major seller for Samsung. They've sold over 1 million Galaxies in the United States, and that's only in a month and a half. They've done 1 million. So it just goes to show you there is still competition out there, and the iPhone does not, is not the only great device. And considering that the iPhone sold 1.7 million devices in the first weekend availability, 1 million of Samsung's Galaxy S phones is a pretty good number to have hit. So I've seen a few people with these phones. Have you got one? If you do, I'd love to hear your feedback on it. I know we've talked about it a little bit on some previous shows, but seems to be selling very well out there. All right, over on Slashdot, there's a question posed. And really the question boils down to, NASA has made, a lot of overtures to going back to the moon, going to Mars. But the question is being asked, should we really be going to the asteroid belt? And it's being asked, do you think this type of mission has great potential for positive economic return? This is based on the fact that there's potentially very huge deposits of very rich minerals. Now, I got to thinking, all right, first of all, you're going to send probably a relatively small satellite to the asteroid belt. It's going to take a while to get there because you got to slingshot it a couple of times using big gravity wells like Saturn and so forth to get it out there. You go out there, okay, let's say you find this nice big asteroid that's full of some exotic mineral that's, becoming short supply here on Earth. How are you going to get it back? You like nudge it and then it becomes a That it becomes a target for one of our cities or something. So the question is asked, should we start mining the asteroid belt? Would it be a much larger return on our dollar? I don't know. I think that one's out there a little bit. What do you guys think? And again, this was article over on Slashdot. So let me know what you think. If you live up in Canada, this is big news today. The regulatory decision by the CRTC has ordered ISPs to basically play fair with resellers. And they basically been told if you offer your customers 10 megs down and 1 meg up through your basic service, when you work with a reseller, you have to give them access to 10 megs down and 1 meg up, so that they can compete against you. This is a huge win by the resellers. And what this is going to mean, I think, for all of you that live in Canada is maybe some choices and potentially, some price wars going on. So this is big news for all of you. And CRTC probably have made a good choice here for consumers. So if you live up there in Canada and you are going to be affected by this, let me hear your feedback on what you think about this ruling. geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. I already found an article over on Tech Dirt that irritates me just a little bit. I'm not a big fan of Monsanto, but it appears the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has decided to invest in Monsanto. And we all know that Monsanto has been widely known for being really difficult to many farmers across the country in really, in my opinion, abusing farmers for patent violations, largely soybean patents. If you're a farmer and you plant a field of soybeans and the seeds are not from Monsanto, and the neighbor next to you has Monsanto seed, which is patented, and some of that blows into your farm and it basically sprouts, you have to, by law, start using Monsanto seed in a future out year. They've been very tough. They have I'm really not a big fan of this company. And but they've decided to invest in Monsanto. So I'm disappointed that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has done that. I'm sure they invest in a lot of companies, but this is one that I'm not a big fan of, and I feel bad that they have done this. All right, this next article should just blow all of you away. And I'll be honest. You remember if you went to the mall or shopping somewhere, parents, if you do this, I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. But you ever seen parents having kids on leashes? Almost like walking a dog, but they've got a little strap around their arm. I know some kids run and move and, hard to control, but you put them in the cart or, you put them in a stroller or whatever. You get control of them. But it appears that California preschool is going to go a little further here. Preschoolers in Contra Costa County are going to learn from an early age to get used to the idea that their every move will be tracked. They're all going to be getting special jerseys to wear that contain an RFID tag. These jerseys will track the kids' whereabouts at all times. This supposedly is going to free up teachers and administrators who previously have to watch the kids on the playground to be safe, to be able to do other things, and they'll be able to do computer check-in and take attendance and whatever else. I am not. This is weird. This to me is smelling out like that. Whoever is working with these preschool kids is simply lazy. Can you believe it? They're going to say they're going to be tracked food intake based upon what the kid picks up during the food line. Wow. So, we're going to have our kids on leashes in the mall, and we're going to put RFID tags and jerseys that they wear at preschool. What's next? It's a little weird. It's a lot weird. Email me what you think, geeknews@gmail.com. All right, over on webmonkey.com, tomorrow is the day. And matter of fact, Angelo, our lead developer at Raw Voice, or CIO, spent a couple of days reprogramming some stuff on our system to make sure that when Twitter flipped the switch to a new authentication system, that we wouldn't go dark. But Twitter is moving to OAuth, and for those of you that say, "What the heck is OAuth?" Well, the main thing is to remember it's basically a different way to do a user authentication. And any of the applications that haven't switched over to OAuth is going to basically come up September 1st, going to be dead. You're not going to be able to log in. So if you don't have the most current app, and or the app that you have hasn't been updated yet, you may find out come Wednesday morning that no longer will your application log into Twitter. So you can bash on the developer of the application and say, get it updated. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. 8 a.m. Pacific time. Oh, that's actually tomorrow. 8 a.m. Pacific time is when it's going to completely deny anyone with the other type of authentication process. So we'll see. And some of the bloggers had given the event the catchy name, Authoclips. In other words, there's going to be a lot of people complaining tomorrow. So I'll be in on airplane. I'll miss it. You guys will be able to tell me about it when I land. All right, over on copyblogger.com. I haven't talked about this site in a while. And this is for those of you that have a blog and do your own blogging. They put up a pretty good article. Is your headline good or bad? Give it the breath test. And I think I ought to do that myself on some of my headlines on my site. But they say if you're going to be writing a blog post and you need to think about your title, do long or short headlines work better? And really, the best way to see if a headline works is by using the breath test. And he goes on to say, try saying this headline aloud. So I'm going to read it here. How to recognize 6 difficult telltale signs of disinterest and lack of motivation in your student and consumer. Ran out of breath, didn't you? No, I didn't. And even if you didn't quite run out of breath, you had a hard time getting through the whole thing. So he goes on to say, okay, look at some of the most enduring headlines ever. And this is basically how to win friends and influence people. Do you make these mistakes in English? They laughed when I sat down at the piano, but when I started to play, basically, they're saying give your headlines on your blogs the breath test. And if it doesn't pass the breath test, work on the headline and make it something shorter. It's very hard to do that on a headline, especially when you want to impair enough information to try to catch your attention while at the same time not making it too long to be annoying. How many of you are pencil fanatics? I know when I go to Japan, I am. I love going to, they have stores in Japan that sell nothing but pencils and pens. That's all they sell. And they have great writing utensils, and usually much better than anything that I find here in the United States. So when I always see an article on a new pencil, I always get excited because I'm a pencil junkie. Over at Boing Boing, they have some review on the pre-production version of what's called the Black Wing pencil, made by California Cedar. And everyone is raving about this pencil. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out. So if you're a pencil junkie like I am, you'll definitely want to be watching for the Black Wing, and you'll know basically the pencil has a it's got Palomino Black Wing. It has a little emblem of a horse on it, and then of course there's a Black Wing 602, which is another good one as well. So anyway, if you're a pencil junkie, those are forthcoming. Hey, when you die, did you know you can get your ashes pressed into a record? All right, if you live in where are they doing this at? Looks like it's lira. For 2,000 lira, you can get 30 full-size vinyl disc pressed with custom artwork, backing tracks, and music that you have picked out. And within it will be your created remains will be pressed into the vinyl record. So they'll take specks of your cremated remains and jam them into the vinyl. So an everlasting way to think about a lost loved one is you put them literally on the phonographic player and play you. All right, you're not going to hear that one anywhere else. Okay. Yes, and this is you can get this done, and it's at and vinyl, ANDVINYLY. So it's not VINYLY.com. I have a link up in the show notes. You guys can check it out. Okay, another cool one is top10s.net, and they've got a list here of top 10 lost technologies. And I'm looking at some of this stuff, and I'm like, where did they find this list? This is some weird stuff. It really, really is. And I think one thing that was interesting here was the Apollo/Gemini space program technology was lost. And this is kind of interesting. It says that the information really was in a format. All the study and research information was in a digital format that was not able to be basically brought into current systems. Obviously, some of it was outdated, and while the technology really wasn't lost, really the plans and blueprints to build like a Saturn V rocket are in this old format. If they need to be resurrected, they could be, but not easily. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then there's just a whole bunch of other really weird things here. One of them is a Roman cement. Yes, the Roman Empire. You do know that modern concrete was first introduced in the 1700s, but Roman concrete is a little different. And that technology was lost. So I'll have a link up in the show notes. You guys can check it out. Next one is over at MacRumors.com. If you've been holding off to order an iPad because they've been delayed, the iPad pre-orders have been caught up now, and iPads are now available within 24 hours. So you don't have to wait for it. You can order it and get it next day delivered. Now, the most exciting software development that I've found today is an announcement by the folks at Autodesk. I'm a AutoCAD junkie. I've used AutoCAD for years. Started out with some of the very early versions, and I've worked my way up to, I think I have AutoCAD 8 on my laptop. But Autodesk has launched AutoCAD for Mac and iOS, so it's back on the Mac. So this is cool. Autodesk has announced AutoCAD 2011 for Mac, and this new version of AutoCAD for professional design engineering, previously ran only on the Windows platform, now runs natively on Mac OS X. So they've also announced that the new Mac version of AutoCAD would be accompanied by what they're calling the AutoCAD WS mobile application. It's a new app for the iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch. It will let users edit and share their AutoCAD designs remotely. I don't know if I want to open a AutoCAD drawing on my iPhone. They can get pretty big and intense. But it'd be kind of cool to do it on an iPad. You zoom in, zoom out. Should be a lot of fun. So if you're an AutoCAD fanatic and you've been stuck on a Windows machine and you're a Mac user, worry no longer. And I don't know what the price is to move over. If they have, maybe they have some upgrade prices. It's hard to say, but it is available. Here we're on blog.makezine.com. You guys know that I like building little projects from time to time. And one thing that always drives me absolutely insane is when, of course, having electronics background, when I see soldering jobs, in other words, someone solders something and they are doing it incorrectly. But the folks at MakeZine have come up with what they're calling the 10 Commandments of Soldering. This will save many of you major headaches. You got to bookmark this because all of you are going to have to solder something sooner or later, or you'll have to have a friend do it, or you have to fix something, or this 10 commandments of soldering. Every person, every geek worth their creed should know these by heart. Because it'll save you a lot of agony when you're trying to fix something or replace a component or whatever it may be. And I know some of you are like, I don't do that, Todd. I just throw that thing in the trash and I go buy a new one. But, some of us nerds tear stuff apart and actually fix things still. But this is great advice. I've done many, many soldering jobs for really the past 25 years. And it drives me crazy when I see soldering jobs done by people that is really done in a shipshod way. So check these different 10 commandments out for soldering. It'll save you a lot of headaches down the road. All right, Google today has launched Priority Inbox, and this is help you to fight email overload. Now, last week when I was in the D.C. area, I spent 3 whole days doing, during the daytime, email only on my iPhone. And there was a lot of that stuff that were just delete. And, Mondays and Tuesdays are always the worst because you get just crushed with email. And it's just usually PR people, it's just dumb stuff. Usually it's nothing I have to respond to. It's not business related. It's just someone trying to, get me to review something or, so forth. But they've come up now with a tool, a plugin that you can add to Gmail that allows you to, over time, it learns who is the priority person to respond to. It's based upon how fast you respond to normal emails. It allows you to categorize emails as they come in, and it puts it in a list. And over time, it learns. And this has gotten huge write-ups today all over the web. This is probably one of these that many of you have already seen. But if you are in Gmail, this may be a plugin that you'll want to try and see how it works out for you. Love to hear some feedback over time. I primarily work out of Thunderbird when I'm on my desktop or laptop, but I could see where it could come in handy when I'm mobile. All right, for those of you who have iPhone 4s, the glitch where you basically dial someone and then put the device up to your face, where that proximity sensor where it's supposed to shut the screen off so you don't hang up on people, has still not been fixed, even though it was promised by Apple. The folks over at Digital Life are reporting that this is still an issue that's outstanding that Apple has not addressed yet, even though they promised to. So just be careful when you're dialing on your iPhone 4 and it starts to ring. Just push the little button, then put it to your ear. That way, guarantee you won't hang up on someone. I don't ever have that happen to me on my 3G phone, largely because guess what I do? I use a hands-free device or the speakerphone. Those of you that love typewriters, some of you like your typewriter still. You're going to like this one here. Here is the cool way to go. You can have a USB typewriter. In other words, you can take a standard typewriter that has been somewhat disassembled and added some sensors to it, hook it to your Mac, and you can type like you used to using a standard typewriter. You gotta love people. You really do. You gotta love people and some of the stuff that they come out with. Obviously, this is not practical, but great conversation piece if you were the person that did it. Hey, want to talk just a little bit about Andy McCaskey and what's going on over at slash.review.com. I know many of you are fans of Andy's show and probably were distressed when Andy quit doing his daily show. Largely, I talked to Andy a great deal about his decision to really scale back, and he's realigning, and he's basically, what he's doing is making sure he has a strategy that allows him to, stay financially sound. He had asked for listener support through his show and had largely been ignored, and basically said, at this point, if people don't appreciate the ongoing content, and he was trying to scale back advertising to a certain extent. It was tough on him. It really, really was. And so what he's doing, and I want to read from his site here. It says, it may appear that SDR news is dormant or pod-faded, but nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, our 6-year history there never has been a more exciting period of growth and investment in major upgrades to studio network personnel and facilities. He says, first of all, SDRnews.com is being developed as the anchor site for several in-depth channels. One will be SDRnews.tv. We'll air most of the material that we develop in rough form, much of it live streaming. He's going to have lunchandlearn.tv. It's going to be a channel for finished short-form content that will introduce a variety of technical subjects. And he's going to have experttechmedia.tv. We'll have in-depth tutorial content by category that will allow development of a topic in detail. And, of course, slash.review.com will continue as an audio-only version of the shows. He says this is only part of the overall review communications pass and will include additional content in other subject areas with planned air dates in October 2010. And I know what Andy's up to. And really, Andy's got to pay the bills. And he has to develop new content paths and new monetization paths that ensures that he is able to, from a financial standpoint, to be able to support it. So, you know, I'm excited with what Andy's doing this week. He's out at the HP Networking Tech Day in Roseville, California. Matter of fact, I was hoping to hook up with him when I go out to San Jose, but I don't think that's going to. Actually, he's at the VM World in San Francisco this week. He was out last week at HP Networking Tech Day. I think Jeffrey Powers was out there from Geekazine as well. But really, what part of this development and change up is a large part of what some of the things that I'm going to be doing here in the future as well, is we're building out and trying to grow the audience and really make it more financially viable, and by building out a bigger content base. So I wish Andy luck, and I hope that all of you that are Slash.Review fans will continue to follow Andy over at SDRnews.com. You know, he is a linchpin and part of our content that we'll have for CES 2011. Don't worry, he has not gone away. It's just been some retooling, and he'll be back in action with a lot of content, and I think a lot of content you're really going to like. You know, Andy does stuff in depth. You know, he's the engineer, the hardcore engineer that goes in and he really digs deep into content. And I think you're going to enjoy what he has planned. And I guess I could probably say at this point, but that Andy's going to be the one that is going to be receiving. He's actually purchased the TriCaster Studio that I have here in the studio. So that's where the TriCaster Studio is going to be going, is to Andy, and it's going to be in his endeavors over the next couple of years for his base of some of his equipment and changes that he's doing. Got a lot of content here yet, and we're going to be running out of time. But if you are in a business that has Internet Explorer 6 still in basically basically being forced upon you, many of you are moving up to Windows 7 machines, but are still being forced to use IE6. There's a good article over on WindowsSteamblog.com. Talks about tools to make working with IE6 in Windows 7 easier. And this is basically 6 tips and 6 different applications you can use with IE6 to help you stay within that transition, keep using IE6 in your enterprise. So I have that link up in the show notes for all of you to check out. I found a cool chart over at ilovecharts.tumblr.com talking about world population. It shows the world population within graphs. I think some of this, I was looking at this, for a population base, the United States really is pretty small considering the rest of the world. That's for sure. So anyway, I have this link up in the show notes for you to check out. Link will be up in the show notes. Over at Gawker.com, and I don't normally go over here, but do you guys know that there's soon going to be some shoes where they're going to self-tie? I don't know how they're going to do this, but I guess those people that can't bend down and tie their shoes any longer, either because of physical impairment or they're too fat, are going to be able to have some shoes that tie themselves shortly. So, after I got hurt in 2004, I had no flexibility. I couldn't bend over and tie my shoes, especially when I was wearing that clamshell. So I wore a lot of slippers then. Hey, over at paymentnews.com, 8 out of 10 consumers shop online at least once a week. Consumers are seeking out retailers, and in growing numbers, 31% report checking out a variety of different retailers at least once a week. Data shows that over 6 months, the most shopped products online will be entertainment products, including movies, music, video games, e-media, and books. And second on the list is clothes. 44% of consumers report that they research electronics online, but ultimately purchase electronics at store. I do the opposite. I go to the store and check things out, then I go buy online. So anyway, so there's some good details there on how people are shopping online. Got a good article on the future of web aggregation. I really don't have time to go in this. This is way too depth. I could spend 10 minutes on this alone. Save this for a later show. Obviously, a lot of feedback on the latest changes over at Dig, and I've never been a big Dig user, but Reddit today has been the recipient of a lot of very irate Dig users. Are you very upset at Dig? Did you move over to Reddit? Love to hear your comments on that. Hey, Clearwire announced today. This is exciting. Like another prepaid 4G service available, but Clearwire's added unlimited pay-as-you-go plans. This is very good. $5 a day or $20 a week for unlimited 4G. This is huge. All you got to do is pay. You got to buy the card, $149 to $150. Then you buy credits, and it just turns on and you use it. But the best thing is unlimited. And as Clear and Sprint build out their networks, it's going to be big. It really, really is. The question is, can they maintain bandwidth at CES this year? That is the question. How many of you feel as you get older, you're less employable? Dave Weiner has a good article on scripting.com about talking about age and how he feels that he's being left out of the startup game. You know what? I think that you just have to apply yourself. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but age comes experience. Age comes work ethic. And we may not be as willing to be abused as some startups are, on their people. But one thing is for sure, I think all startups should have a wide selection of age groups in order to really, if you want a business that's going to be in business, and that's one reason why I think Raw Voice is successful. We have a wide range of age group in our team, and, it all ties together, and it works as a great meld. I want to talk just a little about retargeting. How many of you seen ads on a variety of sites? Have you went to a website, looked at a product, then later, next 2 or 3 days, you've seen that product follow you around? I've noticed this a lot because I shop at B&H a lot. It's a place where I buy most of my video gear. They employ this technology, so I'll be at a site somewhere else. I'll see a B&H ad on something that I've looked at 3 days ago. People are getting upset about this. So the New York Times had a good article on retargeting ads and how they're following us around, and you see this for weeks after. I'm seeing them all the time, and it's a variety of different retailers are doing that. Have you seen it? Does it annoy you? Do you wish they wouldn't? Does it make you find out, wow, I know they're really targeting me? Love to hear your feedback on what you think's going on with that. And remember that guy in India that was arrested because he talked about the e-voting irregularities? Well, he's out on bail, and it looks like the Indian government is kind of trying to lighten up on him, and they've cut him loose. So nice to see that he's out of jail, and he basically didn't end up in the bottom of a ditch somewhere. Okay, I've got one voicemail comment. I haven't listened to this yet, so I don't know what it's about. And then I have a number of emails. Let me go ahead and play the voicemail, and then we'll get into the emails, and then we'll get you out of here. All right, here comes the voicemail.
Hey, Todd, this is Jose Alvarez from the great Golden State of California.
Hey, Jose.
I just wanted to congratulate you for the 600 episodes of your show, your podcast, and everything.
Thank you.
I've been listening to your podcast since around 280 something, like around 290 something.
Cool.
Now I feel part of the family, and so now I can say that I'm part of the family, and so yeah, congrats on the 600 mark. I know that I'm kind of behind, like about 5 episodes, but anyways, aloha.
Hey, thanks so much for calling. And to be honest with you, that's the beauty of this content. You can listen whenever you want. You can be 5 shows behind. It doesn't matter. And thanks for the call. I definitely appreciate it. And, of course, thanks for being being part of the Ohana. Hey, I want to talk about something that's going to happen here locally. Nissan is going to announce plans to introduce electric vehicles here in Hawaii. They're going to be test driving the Nissan Leaf electric car tomorrow. I'm going to miss out on this. I got an invitation to come down to the event, but I'm going to be on an airplane headed towards San Francisco. But I'm excited to see that Nissan is doing this. I guess we're going to be the first city to get these. But big news from Nissan, and we'll be seeing the Nissan Leaf here on the dealer's floor very, very shortly. Adrian, I got your email. We'll be getting back with you soon. I want to thank the number of folks that did the response on the survey as well. I won't go into all those. But I did get an email from Seth. He says, hey, Todd, random I know. Did you realize that you look a tad bit confused, perhaps in your Skype profile picture? Perhaps a new picture of you in the updated studio. Well, I'll have to check out that, Seth. I don't even know what picture I have on my Skype profile, but thanks for letting me know I look a little confused in my Skype profile. I'll get that updated. Got an email here from Scott. He says, hey, Todd, Microsoft is taking its fight to the highest level against the $290 million patent ruling in favor of I4I. Microsoft has filed a petition of writ seeking a review of the I4I versus Microsoft patent infringement case by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has complete discretion to determine whether it will review the case. So I guess Microsoft is continuing to fight this patent issue. Got an email here from Trucker Tom on the H.264 going royalty free. Got an email here from Ron. He said, hey, Todd, I picked up one of the Virgin Mobile MiFi devices last month. It worked well, except in Calypso, Montana, as I don't think they have Virgin Sprint coverage there. I'm about to set off on my third holiday trip to the U.S. this year. I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and the cost of Wi-Fi at hotels and motels was adding up. I decided that even though the device was $150, it would more than pay for itself over that week and upcoming 24 nights on the road for a trip planned in September, October. Yesterday it became a much better deal with the introduction of the $40 unlimited plan. Hey, Ron, here's the trick on hotels in the United States. The more expensive the hotel, the more expensive the bandwidth. If you stay at Hampton Inns, if you stay at Hilton Garden Inns, if you stay at if you stay out of like the Marriott hotels or the Hilton hotels and get into their subcategories of properties, usually you get free Wi-Fi. But as soon as you go into the upper level hotels, usually it's $19.99 or $9.99. Last night I was in D.C. I stayed at the Hilton Dulles. The Wi-Fi there was $9.99, but they guaranteed 500 kilobits, which I tested, and that was a great deal considering I was getting like 120 at the hotel I was staying at prior to that. Got an email from David. He says, hey, Todd, David, we'll get back to you. And I think this is all I've got. I had one more email. Oh, yeah, I got one here from, one second. Had a comment from somebody I thought I missed. Let me look. Okay, I got an email here from Ken. He said, hey, Todd, I've been listening to you for as long as you've been podcasting. I enjoy your show and consider it good entertainment. When you first got going, it was a lot harder to find all the content you cover, but now news is a commodity readily available through my RSS feeds. It's rare when you cover anything I haven't already read about before I hear the show. I usually listen in bed. I set my iPhone to sleep at 20 minutes. I'm generally out by then. I like the show length because I can get 3 nights out of one episode, and by then you've released another. The point is I listen as I go to sleep because I'm not afraid to miss anything. You briefly summarize multiple topics, but the commentary perspective is quite limited. Mostly you're pointing people toward the links in the show notes. I'm not criticizing your format. It works for you, and as I said, I do enjoy it. For someone driving to work, it probably is just right. The question is whether it's worth paying for. I truly hope that above isn't harsh, but you asked what it would take to get me to pay for content. For that, you need to come up with a secret sauce, a special insight into stories and commentary that would enrich me more than just reading the story. Thanks again for all you do, and best wishes for your continuing success. Ken, I had this feedback from 2 or 3 other people, so this is why I'm going to kind of dig around and try to find some more unique content. Great advice, great feedback from the Ohana. And this is the type of a response that I really respect. because it gives a very honest, forthright opinion. It isn't a 4-minute tirade on a telephone cussing me out up, down, and one side the other. So, Ken, thanks so very much, and I appreciate it. I really, really do. Okay, we're done here, and everyone, thanks. Thanks for hanging out with me. Be back with you for a later show in the week. We'll be on Friday, and instead of Thursday, because I'm going to be flying. Really, I guess I don't even want to classify it the red eye, but last flight out of San Francisco to get back to Honolulu. And we'll do the show on Friday. I'll fill you guys in on the Set Top Box conference that I'm going to. I'm really excited about being there and meeting with different vendors and talking with different folks. A lot of things happen in that space. You guys know we're heavily vested in it. Angelo is out in the Valley as well, going to a different meeting. And, of course, Tech Podcast members spread all over the place. So definitely check out techpodcast.com and all the great content creators over there. Love to hear your feedback and what you think we should really do to spice things up for CES 2011. I'd love to hear your ideas, because at this point we really want to knock this thing out of the ballpark, and y'all are going to be part of it. Okay, geeknews@gmail.com, voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. Everyone take care. Have a great week. Okay, and we'll see you at the end of the week. Till next time, aloha.